Hello friends, I am Dr. Kumawat and today we are going to resume our discussion on placenta and their types. So this is the fourth and last part of my lecture on concept of development, and in this particular session we are going to focus on the placenta of equine versus swine, canine and feline, and lastly the primates. So let us start with the equine species, and one of the most important and unique characteristic of hatched blastocyst of mare is that it never elongates after hatching and remains spherical. So the trophoblast of spherical conceptus begins to differentiate into invasive and non-invasive components at around day 35 of gestation. And the cells from invasive part they distinguish as a thickened annulated chorionic girdle, a ring-like band, and start to invade the endometrium to form endometrial cups, which are the unique structure to equine species. So in this first picture, you can see a cloudy ring-like annulated structure. Although it is not clearly visible on the opposite pole of this spherical conceptus, this is the chorionic girdle, and this will invade the endometrium to form endometrial cups. In the second image, you can see the clear ring of this chorionic girdle around the equine fetus or equine embryo. This is the embryo proper, and you can differentiate the amniotic sac versus the chorioallantoic sac. Here also you can see the amniotic sac which is containing the fetus, and another one bigger one is the chorioallantoic sac, and this is the chorionic girdle. Now have a look on in situ appearance of endometrial cups and equine embryo in the uterus. Here you can see somewhat tortuous protruded structure which is indicated by these green arrows. These are the endometrial cups surrounding the embryo. You can appreciate the equine embryo over here, and it is surrounded by endometrial cups. Now I want to make one thing very clear, that this endometrial cup, it is a kind of misnomer, because by the name it appears that endometrial cups are the part or the component of endometrium, means it is the maternal side. But no, it is fetal in origin, and hence this question is frequently asked in competitive exams like ICR. So always remember that endometrial cups are fetal in origin. In this image, you can see the equine conceptus, which is containing the central grayish blackish structure, that is the fetus, and it is contained inside the amnion, which is surrounded by the allantois membrane or allantoic sac. So here also you can see these are the endometrial cups which are arranged in a U-shaped configuration. Actually, these endometrial cups they appear as concentric depressions at the base of the pregnant womb, and at first they begin to appear in between day 35 to 40 of gestation, so they can be appreciated in the uterus during 6th week to 20th week of gestation. And one of the most important biological function of these endometrial cups is the secretion of equine chorionic gonadotropin, that is ECG. So if we talk about the number of endometrial cups, they are around 5 to 10 in number at the surface of placenta for one fetus. If there are twins, then the number of endometrial cups will be double, and even the amount of ECG secreted by them will also higher in concentration. So we have known the origin of these endometrial cups, but how they disappear after 140 days, and what is the cause for disappearance of endometrial cups at around 20th week of gestation? That is because of the immunological reaction. Since these endometrial cups, they are fetal in origin and they express some foreign fetal antigens, and these antigens stimulate strong maternal, humoral, and cell-mediated immune response, and ultimately curtail their lifespan, and they regress and disappear at about day 140, although this time may vary. So once the contact between allantochorion and endometrium is established and become stable by the day 40, the chorionic villi keep on branching with interdigitations in the endometrium for next 100 days, and now they are referred as microcotyledons. As you can see in the image, these microvilli, they are multi-branched and they are having some finger-like processes. So such type of chorionic villi are referred as microcotyledons, and hence the placenta of mare is also called as microcotyledonary. And this branching of microvilli, this facilitates the increased placental surface so that the functional efficiency of the placenta can be increased. These microcotyledons are distributed all over the surface of allantochorion and can be seen with naked eye, and they resembles to a velvety appearance. Just like a velvety cloth, the fibers on the cloth, they mimic or they simulate the chorionic villi. So the inner surface of allantochorion is outermost when placenta is threaded out, and it is a smooth surface. The area between microcotyledons, that is called as intermicrocotyledonary area, which is composed of pseudostratified trophoblastic cells, and there is no direct role in the placental function of these particular areas, but they participate in absorption of secretions from endometrial glands. The surface of allantochorion, which remain attached with the endometrium, is red in color with a velvety appearance and texture. So the area which is facing the internal os of cervix, it lacks the placental villi, and hence it gives an appearance like a star, and it is called a star. Sometimes some calculi which are composed of cellular and inorganic debris, they are also seen sometimes attached with the allantochorionic membrane and sometimes freely floating in the allantoic fluid, and these are termed as hippomans, but there is no physiological function of the calculi. So here you can see the star-shaped appearance on the chorioallantoic membrane, which is facing the internal os of cervix. Let us discuss about swine placenta. In pigs, the amnion begins to form at around day 10, and allantoids first appear at about day 14 of gestation. And don't you think the development of these extra embryonic membranes, amnion and allantoids, is quite earlier in this particular species as compared to other animal species? Because if you see the gestation length in swine, it is around 114 days, and if you compare it with the bovine, it is around um, 9 months and 10 months in buffaloes. So longer the gestation length, slower the rate of intrauterine development. By day 22 of gestation, the allantochorion has developed intricate corrugations which interlock with the folds and crevices of the endometrium to establish the placenta. and the outer surface of this type of placenta gives velvety appearance, but there is a little bit difference between the placenta of equines and swine. Here in equine, as we have discussed already, that the microcotyledonary placenta is present, whereas in case of swine, the branching is very less prominent. So in this slide, you can compare the placenta of pigs versus mare. So here you can see the chorionic villi are not branched and they are straight single one, but in case of mare, the chorionic villi are multi-branched and hence they give the appearance of microcotyledons, and hence this placenta is called as microcotyledon. Now the next species is dogs and cats, and if you remember the classification of placenta in dogs and cats, it was named as Joneri placenta based on the distribution pattern of chorionic villi. And if we talk about the histological layers of the placenta, it is the endotheliocorial type of placenta in canine and feline species. So here you can see this first image. In this gravid horn is inside, and immediately after cutting out, you can see the fetal sac, which is having a central strap or band of the chorionic villi. Chorionic villi are present, they are confined only on this particular area. So this is called as Joneri type of placenta. And this zone of chorionic villi, it is visible from outside of the uterus. Here also you can appreciate the fetal part of placenta. So the central part of allantois sac having fused with the chorion and being in contact with the endometrium forms the endotheliocorial or Joneri placenta. In the dog, it completely encircles the embryo, but in case of cat, it is incomplete. This is the little bit difference between dog versus cat. In the third image, you can see that this encircling band, it is somewhat having discoloration on the margin on both the sides, and if you zoom canine fetal sac, you can see green color margin on this Joneri placenta. The placenta of dog and cat is partly hemocorial at the margins, in that the main Joneri placenta of endotheliocorial type is flanked by marginal hematoma, and at around day 22 to 25, these hematomas become visible at the margins of the placental girdle, and in the dog they are green in color because of the presence of a blood pigment that is called as uteroverdin. And these hematomas are just 1 mm in size at the beginning at this particular stage, but they reach up to 8 mm till the term end. If we compare it with the counterpart feline placenta, these hematomas are less obvious, although they can be seen microscopically, and here the pigment is brown in color. Actually, these hematomas are believed to transfer the iron mineral to the fetus. As you know, blood is composed of hemoglobin, and hemoglobin is having iron content. And in these hematomas, the hemoglobin upon its degradation, it liberates the ferrous content. And when separation of canine placenta begins at whelping, it is the escape of this altered blood from the marginal hematomas that gives the characteristic green color to the whelping discharge, which is imparted because of the uteroverdin pigment. And that's why sometimes this Joneri placenta is also referred as green border placenta. Now the next type of placenta is discoidal placenta, and it is found in human, monkeys, mice, rat and rabbits. And here you can see the placenta in the form of a disc, a round circular disc. So based on the number of discs, Just like in human, there is only one disc, so it is called as discoidal, whereas in case of monkeys, there are two discs, so it is called as bidiscoidal. And you can see the corresponding structure of this fetal part of placenta on the endometrium, that is the maternal side of placenta, and this is how these discs are making close contact with each other to establish the placental function. And at last you can see the fetal blood circulation. This is the blood vasculature system of the fetus, which is connected with the discoidal type of placenta, which is a human placenta, which is connecting with the umbilical cord, and this umbilical cord is composed of two umbilical arteries and one umbilical vein. And in this fetal circulation, there are three critical points at which there is shunt between the venous and arterial blood circulation. The first shunt is ductus venosus, which occurs in the liver. The second shunt in between arterial and venous system is the ductus arteriosus, which is connecting the pulmonary aorta and the greater aorta. And the third shunt is on the interauricular septa, which is having a hole, an aperture, that is termed as foramen ovale. So the details of fetal circulation requires a separate lecture, and we will come with the separate lecture on fetal circulation in near future. So this is all about the kinds of placenta in different animal species. So thank you everyone, thank you very much. You can comment your suggestions in the comment box, and I will recommend one video link for one animation video regarding the formation of placenta, which is a very nice video, and you can find that video by clicking the link given in the description box. And this video will definitely enhance your understanding about the placentation and the various kinds of placenta in different animal species. So thank you everyone.